The Loud House is jam-packed with loads of crazy moments, some of which even surprised us from time to time. Watch until the end to find out which Loud House moment shocked fans out of their seats. You won't believe what Lincoln's got himself into this time. First time at the things? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. Now let's jump right into the Loud House's craziest moments. April Fools, Luan goes berserk. There's nothing like pranking your siblings, which is why April Fool's Day can sometimes get out of hand in a big household. Well, the Loud family is no exception to the rule, and this is something we clearly saw displayed in the April Fool's Rules episode. Luan might be on the calmer side, but this episode brought out her true colors. So much so that the rest of the family couldn't deal. So what was so crazy about this episode? Well, the short answer is everything. From the get-go, Lincoln shows us just how far Luan went to prank her siblings. And while she had a good thing going for a while, the Louds ended up retaliating. To put an end to her madness, the Louds conspired against her and struck when nighttime was in full bloom. They quietly crowded her bed and pounced on poor Luan. Flash forward to the next scene, and Luan was behind bars for her crimes. Despite pleading to be released, the Louds didn't show her an ounce of mercy. So basically, Luan got a taste of her own medicine. After a few short hours, Luan began to crack, and her mental state took a direct hit. After a series of horrible jokes, the confinement got the best of her, and she escaped. This crazy Loud House moment did not go unnoticed, especially since Luan went on to traumatize her siblings like never before. So when it comes to pranks, Luan is not to be underestimated. But then again, if you're going to trap someone in a cage, you shouldn't expect to get away with it. The security crackdown. There's no use in denying it. Lisa is just one of the weirdest Louds alive, but we love her just the same. She might be the second youngest Loud member, but she's one of the smartest. This was clearly showcased in the Lock and Loud episode, which placed the Loud family at the center of a make-believe home invasion. After coming back from dancing lessons, Lynne Sr. scolded his children over not locking the front door, which caused a series of unfortunate events to take place. Taking his words to heart, the Loud family became obsessed with securing the perimeter of their home. So much so that Rita and Flynn Sr. started having issues with walking through their own front door. Throughout this episode, we get to see just how deranged little Lisa really is. For starters, she admits to having a secret camera in the bathroom, which is more than a little invasive. Secondly, she starts asking her family members for stool samples. However, she gives little explanation about what she's going to do with them. The Loud's commitment with keeping their house safe quickly becomes dangerous, but it's Lisa's attitude that takes first place. While she might be young and quiet, Lisa is up to something that most of us want to know nothing about. But clearly, she has some sort of strange obsession with feces. Now, if that's not crazy, we don't know what is.
All right, Hops, keep an eye on them till we get back.
Good girl, Lana. Kids do crazy things, but some of them manage to make adult questions their sanity. While it's normal for children to pretend to be animals when they're young, Lana Loud takes pretending to a whole new level. The young Loud member wants nothing more than to play in the mud, but unfortunately, this is something that many people frown down upon. Lola and Lana might be twins, but the two girls couldn't be any more different. While it's obvious that Lola is a beauty queen, it's equally as evident that Lana is a tomboy. And while there's nothing wrong with that, there is something wrong about playing in the mud when it's raining cats and dogs outside. Because let's face it, that's a surefire way to catch a cold or an infection. After watching dogs play in the mud through the window, we see Lana's eyes go wide with envy. She then takes off running to the front door like a mutt, but is stopped by her twin sister. Lola yells, "Lana, heel," and points towards her dog bed, which she then runs to. This shocking scene made most of us laugh out loud, and it's only normal. After all, we're seeing a young girl act like a dog and her sister treating her like one. All in all, Lana takes acting like a dog to a whole new level. So much so that we're almost convinced she's part Labrador. Putting Lily down for a nap. When Lincoln woke up on a sunny Sunday morning, the last thing he expected was to get rushed to his Aunt Ruth's house. So he did what any 11-year-old would. He convinced his mom to let him stay at home. But his freedom did come at a price. And at the time, it seemed like something he could afford. Lincoln was given the task of babysitting his 15-month-old sister, Lily, which he thought would be a breeze. Well, unfortunately for Lincoln, he soon found out that taking care of a toddler was a full-time job. Wanting some extra help, Lincoln invited Clyde over, and the two boys desperately tried to take care of Lily. 2 boys and a baby is a crazy episode for more than one reason. For starters, Rita allowed her 11-year-old son to stay home alone with her toddler, which isn't exactly good parenting. Secondly, the boys had no idea how to take care of a baby, which put little Lily in imminent danger. If there's one scene that took things over the top, it's when Lincoln and Clyde started to blast white noise on dozens of stereos to get Lily to bed, which is more than a little traumatizing for a baby. Luckily, cartoons are not based on real-life events, or at least we hope they aren't.
Some of us blondes would kill to still be in the running. Don't you quit now!
Lynne's Dutch Oven. Anyone who has siblings of their own knows just how fun it is to mess with them. However, some pranks can be taken a little too far. After being forced to share a bed with his sister Lynne, Lincoln was soon subjected to one of the nastiest nights he ever would encounter. But he did manage to hold his ground. After pretending to go to sleep, Lynne waited for the perfect moment to pounce, and did she ever. Within seconds, she trapped her only brother in a Dutch oven. Not familiar with this term? Well, you soon will be. A Dutch oven is what occurs after someone farts under the covers, and getting trapped in one is a fate we wouldn't wish upon our worst enemies. In this episode, Lynne lets a loud one rip and then throws the covers over Lincoln's head. He desperately tries to squirm his way out of it, but Lynne manages to outmaneuver him. This crazy moment makes us feel sorry for Lincoln, but he soon gets his revenge. He waits for her to fall asleep and then gets even, and she soon finds out how it feels to have to breathe in someone else's stench. This insane Loud House moment isn't easily forgotten, which is why we're still talking about it today. You got this, girl. There are tons of crazy moments in the Patching Things Up episode, but there's one that stood out to us the most. In this episode, Lola and Lana end up going to Camp Bluebell, where they're made to pass a series of tests. But being extremely different people, Lola and Lana end up getting into a number of fights. While their issues might get resolved by the end of the episode, a lot of questionable moments do arise. Being the tomboy that she is, Lana aces nearly every single Bluebell task that comes her way. But the same can't be said about Lola. So when Lola is given a task she believes to be too difficult, her sister gives her a big smack on the butt and says, "You got this, girl." This unexpected moment leaves Lola yelping out loud, but the action is immediately dismissed. Tons of fans couldn't help but laugh about this crazy Loud House moment. In truth, you never know what the Louds are about to do, and this scene was definitely unexpected.
If I'm home by 5, they'll never have to know. Who wants to go to the mall?
The Loud parents get busted. All Rita and Lynne Sr. want is to spend some quality time together. However, their 11 kids don't want to be left alone. So when the Loud parents plan for a weekend getaway at a hotel, they beg them to tag along. Unable to refuse their pleas, Rita and Lynne Sr. oblige. By the end of the weekend, the Louds end up getting kicked out of the hotel. But this punishment has nothing to do with the actions of the Loud children. Believe it or not, but their parents got kicked out for skinny dipping in the hotel pool after hours. This scene is somewhat subtle, but we later find out exactly what they're doing. Instead of telling their kids the real reason why they got thrown out of the hotel, they choose to tell them a little lie. This leads them to feel horrible, which prompts them to sleep at their Aunt Ruth's house for the remainder of the weekend. Their absence gives Rita and Lynne Sr. all the alone time they could have ever asked for. This crazy Loud House moment left many of us shocked. But hey, parents deserve to have a little fun every once in a while too, right? Lily sees stars. Lily might be the youngest Loud member, but what she lacks in age, she makes up in feistiness. Being the only boy out of 11 children can have its challenges, which is why Lincoln attempts to brainwash Lily into liking the same things he does. Despite not having a lot in common with his older siblings, Lincoln is confident that he can get little Lily to become just like him. So he attempts to make her fall in love with Ace Savvy, which is his favorite crime fighter. together. To start her off strong, he tapes pictures of Ace Savvy to Lily's baby mobile and starts spinning it at an alarming rate. He forces her to stare at the images as they go round and round, which proves to be a bad idea. Within seconds, Lily's eyes begin to twirl, and she groggily walks towards Lincoln. She then collapses into his arms and vomits all over his Ace Savvy comic book. This crazy Loud House moment goes to show that you can't force someone to like the same things you do. Sorry, Lincoln, but it looks like you're on your own. Lynne on the Field. Back in the day, kids used to spend the majority of their time outside, but today they'd much rather play video games or watch TV. Lincoln is no exception to the rule, which is why his parents forced him to play football in the Loudest Yard episode. Well, it turns out that Lincoln is 100% terrified of playing football, which prompted him to convince Lynne to take his place on the field. Although she may be a girl, Lynne's appearance was easily concealed by wearing Lincoln's helmet, so the two siblings traded places. Things were going according to plan until Lynne started excelling and making headlines. Proud of his son, Lynne Sr. got the entire family to agree to watch Lincoln's next game. This crazy and action-packed episode left most of us on the edge of our seats. And as we feared, things didn't work out too well for Lincoln by the end of the episode. It turns out that getting someone else to walk in your shoes isn't always the best idea. But unfortunately, Lincoln had to learn this the hard way. Despite being a girl, Lynne managed to beat all the boys on Lincoln's team. And we can't say that we're surprised.
I were going to do a text. How would I go about that?
Bobby's going down. It's only normal for siblings to want to protect each other, which is why many of us didn't bat an eye when Lincoln started spying on Bobby in Cheater by the Dozen. This episode is filled with crazy moments, some of which children couldn't begin to understand. By now, we all know that Lincoln doesn't like to follow the rules, which is why we weren't surprised to see him stalking Bobby after noticing some suspicious behavior. Lincoln convinces his siblings, except for Lori, that Bobby is cheating. The Loud siblings go on to spend the rest of the day chasing after Bobby, and they find some pretty troubling stuff. For starters, Bobby takes an unknown girl to make out Hill, and then he sneaks into Lori's neighbor's house and takes off his pants. Lastly, he goes to some underground club and slow dances with a man. This crazy episode leads us to believe that Bobby is a no-good cheater, but it also shows us just how far Lincoln will go to protect his sisters. So, which Loud House moment did you find the craziest? Let us know in the comments below. And that's the end of our video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.